Hi there guys, it's Mike from MCQ Bushcraft here, and I've been out in the woods today just on a bit of a walk, and I've also been doing some filming. And it's a very damp and humid day, and the ground is crawling with flies. They are everywhere. Everywhere you look, all you see are flies crawling all over the moss. But the humidity is really amplifying the effects of this, and the flies are almost unbearable in some respects, especially when you're sitting down doing some filming or in the woods just doing some carving, trying to relax. And sometimes you want to take some measures to try and get rid of those flies. And this is what I've got here on my left hand side. It's simply just a bit of cramp ball fungi inside some moss. And all it's doing is creating some plumes of smoke in the area, and the flies are all over the ground, but fortunately they're not on me anymore. And it doesn't really even require this smoke to be blowing in my face for it to be effective. It almost creates a dead zone of flies in the air around you, and it's so effective, especially when I've been in the woods carving for prolonged periods of time, or in a camp set up and I may not have had a fire going. You can set these up periodically around the area, and they burn quite happily. This one's been going for about 20 minutes and it's a little bit worse for wear now. It's starting to fall apart and needs some maintenance. But I thought in this video I'd show you how to make one. This woodland that I'm in is predominantly an ash woodland, and ash is a particularly easy tree to identify. It generally has very pale bark, almost like a tan colour, and when young it's very smooth, and as it's older it gets very fussed with diamond notches in it that run all the way up the trunk. It has very small leaves as well, little pinnate leaves that come off of a main stem. And the twigs can be found below the tree on the floor. They're often very knobbly and quite curvy and flexible, and sometimes the buds can even be found and they look like little hooves. But this video isn't really about identifying ash, it's just the particular ember or fungi I'm using to produce an ember grows on dead ash, on the deadfall that you can find on the ground. And it's literally abundant in this woodland, it's everywhere. If I pick up this bit of deadfall here, you can see this is very typical of ash deadfall. You've got peeling bark with a blackness beneath, and you can almost spot it a mile off due to the contrast of it. It looks very different to a lot of other rotting logs you'll find in the woodland. And if you look just here, we have Daldilia concentrica, or King Alfred's cake, cramp ball fungi, coal fungi, has a lot of common names, and this is probably one of the most useful tinders that I have available to me in my part of the world, as an off-the-tree tinder to put a spark into with a ferro rod, and even can be used with a flint and steel with a little bit of skill behind it. But even though it's been damp, with enough heat from a ferro rod we can put some sparks into this, and these look very, very dry. At this time of year it's very tricky to find ones in good condition, because they generally reach maturity around the autumn time, where they die and blacken and they remain on the tree for up to 2 years, but also the new ones start to come through, which are hard and brown. If you are interested in identifying King Alfred's cake or Daldilia concentrica in a bit more detail, I'll put a link in the description to another video I've done that covers it in a lot more detail than this. But really what you're looking for is a tinder that can produce a very hot ember and burn for a long period of time, much like chaga fungus for example, or Fomes fomentarius, something that will burn quite happily for a long time inside the moss to transfer that heat to the actual bundle around it. But let's take these and we'll put some sparks into them. These ones here look nice and dry, and if we just break them up a bit, just increase that surface area. That one there's soaking wet, and get rid of him. That one's soaking wet as well, so we've got some here that look pretty good. Not quite. As I say, it's quite damp. now we've got this one going, we can transfer the ember across to another one. We can put this one aside there and do the same to another. Ooh. Some heat comes off them, so you do have to be careful. So those can be left there now for a little while. We just need to grab ourselves some moss. This woodland is absolutely covered in moss. It's all over the ground in thick beds, but it's very damp when it's on the ground and there's a lot of soil attached to it. When I'm choosing moss just to burn very slowly, I want it to be a little bit damp from its greenness, not too dead, or else it bursts into flames, but I don't want the stuff off the ground because it's just got too much earth attached to it and it's very, very damp. It holds water very well, moss, which is one of its good points in bushcraft, but when you're actually burning it, you don't really want it to be holding water. And that's why I use the stuff on the sides of trees like this. I'm only going to take a little bit because it takes a long time to grow and I don't like to take too much of it. And sometimes I even take moss from other areas of the ground that look like they've been disturbed and place it on the tree, and it'll continue to grow there as well. All you need to do now is open up your moss a bit, pick up the cramp balls, and by now the cramp balls would have turned into fantastic embers, and put all the little pieces in there, just like this. Close it up. I'll even use some of the other moss that I burnt earlier on in the day, and there's a few tufts there that have come off this log. We can open it up very slightly and just start putting a bit of air in there to get things going. When it starts making a roaring noise, you know you're in business. And you can even slow down your breath. And there it is. And generally, what I tend to do after that is just take a bit of cord just to secure it all together, because it will have a tendency to come apart on you. You can just wrap a bit of cord round. You can just see a little bit of smoke starting to come out the top of it now. It's just started to get going. And you can make quite a few of these things. I generally put them up in the air to stop them burning the ground, and they just gradually turn to ash and burn away. But if we just let this get going, it should start producing quite a lot of smoke. You can see this one's been burning for about 20 minutes now, and it's starting to fall apart. A better way to use them is to actually put them on a patch of mud or damp earth, bare soil, and that way they don't drop embers everywhere and they just produce smoke on the ground. Provided the wind's going the right way, you can get the benefit of that smoke drifting around your area to keep the flies at bay. Obviously one of these isn't required when you have a fire going, but if you don't and you're in the woods carving and you just need a bit of respite for a little while you're doing something, it can be very useful. And you can even take more steps with them. There are lots of other plants that can be used alongside these kinds of things, like yarrow, tansy and fleabane. But I tend to use the most abundant thing available to me, which is this moss that's growing all over the place here, and it's nice and damp to a degree where it produces some thick smoke and keeps the flies away from me. But I hope this video has been helpful, and it's just a little technique that I use when I'm out in the woods doing something and I just want to break from the flies. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again in another video. Take care guys, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.